Good evening, everyone. This is Debbie Henderson from Debbie's Designs. Welcome to my weekly Sunday share. So for some of you guys, I've seen you twice today. First of all, let me go over a few things and I'll explain about my other thing I've got going on. So my hostess code for the month of March, and we only have a few days left, so make sure you enter this code when you shop online. And I am offering free shipping on any order $50 or more this week, only because it's the last week of celebration. So make sure you get your order in by March 31st, $50 or more for free shipping. My door prize for the month of March is the Real Red Roost ribbon, along with the flower faceted gems. Anyone that places orders with me will be entered into a drawing, and that does include Paper Pumpkin customers. So let's talk a little bit about what I've been doing the last couple weeks. Because of the coronavirus going on and everybody being housebound, I've been doing some live stamping classes. Let me bring in my little flyer here. So if you go to my Stampin' Ink Designs group on Facebook, anybody can join. I'm actually hosting Stamp with Me classes. And what I do is I let everybody know a day or two ahead of time what they need to bring with them to class, and then we stamp together. So make sure you look for my Stampin' Ink Designs group and ask to join. I'm going to show you the projects I just did a few hours ago. I did 2 card folds. The first one is called the Magic, I forgot what it was called. Magic something. So this is a card that we stamp black ink over a window sheet, and then you just pull on this and it colors the image. So I showed everybody how to do this one. And then the other one I showed was the corner pop-up fold. I did 2 of them because I'd had one that was up, of course, to show what we were doing. This was the one I made ahead of time. So this opens this way and it sits on a counter. And then this is the one I made during the live class. And you guys, if you go to my page, if you haven't been there and you're members, you should see all of the photos everybody's loading of all their projects. It's awesome to see what everybody's creating. So if you are bored, you're housebound, and you need something to do, go to my Stampin' Ink Designs group, and my videos are all there. So tonight is Step It Up Sunday, where I start with a clean and simple card. I step it up once. Normally I step it up three times to make 3 cards, but tonight I'm doing something different. I'm doing a 3D project at the end. So I'm using the It Starts With Art stamp set, the Crafting Forever stamp set, because they kind of go hand in hand. And then I'm also using the die from the Stitch So Sweetly die. I've gone ahead and cut out my rectangles ahead of time. So I'm going to show you that as I bring each card kit in. Hello everyone, it's so nice to see you all here. For inks, I'm using Memento Tuxedo Black, Blushing Bride. I couldn't read that, my eyes are bad tonight. Blushing Bride, Coastal Cabana, Calypso Coral, and Pacific Point. I have a whole bunch of blends markers to show you. We need an aqua painter. We need the dark mint macaron, light and dark Calypso Coral, dark petal pink. I can't remember if this is, okay, this is the light So Saffron, light and dark gray granite, and the color lifter if we make a boo-boo. Punches, 2-inch, 2 1/4, and the timeless label punch. Now these are the products I need for all 3 projects. I might not be using them on the first few, but I wanted to show them all to you ahead of time. I'm also using the petal pink metallic edge ribbon. And let's see what else. One more thing is the Follow Your Art Designer paper. Now this one is from the annual catalog. We've been focusing on the mini catalog for so long. I'm trying to bring back products from the annual catalog. And I love the colors on this paper. That's why you see the blends markers and the ink pads that go with this paper. So let's start out with card number 1. I'm using Pacific Point 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2. I'm going to fold that on the score line. Here's the Follow Your Art designer paper, 5 1/4 by 4. I'm going to go ahead and glue that in place. So this is my clean and simple card. This would be Stamps, Ink, and Paper, SIP. So there's that. I'm going to show you the card. Now this is clean and simple. So I'm going to bring in the little pen image. And I had a really hard time lining this up so it would go nice and straight. So I have it on my Stamparatus all ready to go. So I don't have to mess with that tonight. So this is the Whisper White piece that I cut out with the die. I'm going to use Calypso Coral and Pacific Point on this one. So let me go ahead and do the sentiment. So I've already got it lined up on my Stamparatus. It's nice and straight, I hope. I'm going to line this up. Let's see. Right about there. I'm going to ink my Stamparatus with the Pacific Point ink on the sentiment. And then I'm going to press this down and hopefully it's straight. This is kind of a funky shaped image, so it was hard to get it nice and straight, which is good. So we can put that away. Next, I'm going to do the pens. So this one is just a sentiment and the set of 3 pens. Clean and simple. I just want to dry this up a little bit. So this would be a good card to make if you need to produce a whole bunch at a time. So there's card number 1. See how quick that was? And the designer paper does all the work for you because of the nice colors you see in the paper. So now let's step it up a notch. I'm using all the same colors on each project. Now this time I'm going to add the champagne rhinestone jewels because the jewels that I used on my first set, I didn't have enough to continue. So this is the stepped up version number 1. So now what I did differently on this one, I stamped on colored cardstock rather than white. I added a couple punch shapes and some ribbon. And I had already glued the designer paper that I was going to use on card number 3. But I decided not to do a card for number 3. So I'm going to use this one that's already glued down. And then I have a piece of Pacific Point that measures 4 1/8 by 3 1/8. I'm going to go ahead and glue that in place. That's going to go right on the center. And then here's my So Saffron scalloped cardstock instead of Whisper White. I'm going to grab a piece of scrap paper. And all I did on here is I just stamped the pen images in different orientations. So I'm going to start out by going this way and then this way. I'm just going to keep going 4 times. And then I took my blender pen with the Blushing Bride ink. So I'm going to grab some ink from the lid. I'm just going to squeeze so I can get some in the lid. And I'm going to add a little bit of color. Let me move my card so you can see it. And I'm just going to add some right here in this little label on my pen and a little bit on this one. And I'm using an aqua painter to color. So it's a little bit lighter than the Calypso Coral ink, which is just enough to give it a splash of color. Okay, and that's all I'm going to do there. Now I'm going to add this on my card front with dimensionals. That's going to go right in the front. Now, I just realized I must have been blind when I was cutting this piece out with the scallop rectangle die. I'm going to show you what I did, and some of you probably noticed. I'm going to use it anyway. But look, I chopped off the scallops on the bottom of that. Who knows what I was doing? It's still good. And next, I'm going to add the ribbon around. And again, I never cut my ribbon off the spool. I do what I need to do with it first so I don't waste. And then I cut it off when I'm done. I'm just going to make a double knot with the ribbon. I love this ribbon. It's got that metallic edge to it. It's so shimmery and so pretty. So for those of you that have been joining me on my group page, I think we're having a lot of fun, don't you? I know sometimes I go still a little too fast for some of you, but the replay is always there. So you can go ahead and replicate my projects. Now, my little sneaky cheating trick, I'm going to add a glue dot under the knot, just so that'll stay in place. And then we're going to do the sentiment. Now the sentiment is actually the same one. I'm just going to add it to a clear block and remove it from the Stamparatus. Because this one's being punched, so I can direct my punch the way I want anyway, so it doesn't matter if it's straight or not. I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. Now I wanted the edges to show up a little more, so I cut out an extra one using Pacific Point. And I'm going to cut that in half. Add some adhesive on each end. And I'm going to just glue that just like that. It just makes the Blushing Bride really pop when I glue it to the front of my card. So in looking at this, it looks like it was made that way. Isn't that funny? Even though it doesn't have scallops, it still has the stitching and it's perfect on there. So I don't know what I did when I cut that out, and I didn't notice till now. Okay, this is gonna go right here. And then on this card, I use the holiday rhinestones. This one I'm gonna use the champagne. So I'm just going to stick one on each end just to give it some bling. And there's card number 2. Now, the project I'm going to do for number 3, I need to make some room because it's going to take a lot of room. I'm going to intrigue you guys. So let me move all of my stuff here. I am going to need my 2 circle punches. So I started out that I wanted to create a card with the third project, but then I changed my mind because I really wanted to step it up a lot. So let me show you what I'm making, and then I'm going to have to bring my little piles in. So I decided to turn my card into a sampler. So you can see here, I hope I can fit it all on camera. So there's my sampler so we've got 5 3x3 squares and then a large one at the top, using all the same supplies that you see that I used on card 1 and 2. So let me go ahead and bring my little piles in. Now, when I do samplers, and I've done kits in the mail, I use a canvas, an artist canvas, and they're the thicker ones. And this is actually a 12 by 12, so we're going to use a blank one. And let me bring in, I've gone ahead and cut a lot of the stuff ahead of time because it takes so much time to do this. So I've got all the squares. And I'm going to tell you what I use on each square as I do them. Oh, you guys like that. Thanks for the hearts. I love seeing hearts. Okay, so there's the 5 little squares. We'll do those first, and then we'll jump into the larger square towards the end. So let me go, let me see if I can position this so you guys can see. I'm gonna do this one here first. So all of my squares are Pacific Point 3 by 3. And then my designer paper is all 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. Now let me find my gems because I'm gonna need my gems. So I'm gonna go ahead and glue the first designer paper square. So I'm doing this one here. And because we have scissors in the background, I thought I'd add some scissors. Now all of the images that you see on my sampler are colored with blends markers. So let me bring a scrap in. Now the scissors, I'm using the light gray granite to color the metal part. And then on the handles, I did one with the So Saffron. Oh, I should tell you about my little trick about cutting the scissors too. Let me finish coloring and I'll tell you the easiest way to cut the scissors. Because you really don't want to plop a pair of scissors on here and not have the little handles cut out, because then you'd have 2 big blobs of white. So what I did is I grabbed a really small handheld punch. I cut around the scissors and then I cut a few holes on the inside of my punch or inside of the handle of each scissor. So once you have a couple holes there, it gives you something to put your scissor blades on the inside and be able to cut around. I hope that makes sense. If I had the scissor stamp, I'd show you what I mean, but I think you understand what I mean. Okay, now we're going to glue the scissors in place. So I'm going to start out with this one, because it is hard to get a starting point on something that small. I'm going to put these ones at an angle. And this one overlaps the other one, so I'm just going to add the mini dimensional on the bottom part of the scissors. And I'm going to put one handle underneath and then the other one on top. And then where's my paper piercer? Then we'll add some of these jewels. So I have a big one right here and then 2 little ones. Let's see. Okay, so there's my first square. See how quick that was? I'm going to put this one aside. Next, we're going to work on this one, which is, let me see if I get the right pile. Yes. So this one, I need to actually clean my stamp so I can stamp with a different color. So we're going to use Calypso Coral to stamp the sentiment. And that's going to be cut out with the 2-inch circle punch. And then I'm going to layer with the 2 1/4 inch. I think I said 2 1/2 at the beginning of the video. It's 2 1/4 with Pacific Point. I'm going to glue that in place with, where's my regular dimensionals? And I've already gone ahead and made the bows just to make it quicker. So I'm gonna layer that over the Pacific Point circle. Next is the designer paper. This one's cute too. It's got little pen and pencil images on it. Now this is the die that I cut out. I should show you those dies. These are border dies. I'm using both of them today. So this one is like all little buttons. And then this one is ribbon that's all kind of swirled around. So these are nice border dies that you can cut with. So I'm using the one that has the rippled ribbon. And that's going to go at the bottom. So let me add some liquid glue. And that's going to go right almost at the bottom. Let me see, about 1/8 of an inch from the bottom. And then I glued the circle flat. It's going to overlap a little bit on the rippled ribbon. Next is the bow that I made with the metallic edge ribbon. That's going to go right on the circle. And then I'm going to add a cluster of 3 champagne jewels. Okay, so there's square number 2. And let's fluff up this bow so it looks nice and pretty. So there's number 2. Number 3 is the one with the 3 pen images. And again, I'm going to go ahead and glue the designer paper in place. So do you guys like making samplers? I have so many samplers in my stamp room. I just love creating them. Okay, now we're going to use Calypso Coral Light for this pen. And then I'm going to use the dark just to add a few highlights. I did a kit in the mail. I had done a kit in the mail for Valentine's and for Easter with samplers that were really cute. Okay, this is going to be with the mint macaron. Now, somebody was asking me the other day how to use a color lifter, and here's a perfect example. You can see here where I went over the lines. I thought this was going to be green, but it's not. I'm going to use the color lifter, and I'm just going to keep rubbing on that, and it's going to disappear. See how that disappeared? I'm going to do it one more time. And now I can add my other color. And you can't even tell I went over the lines. And don't you dare tell on me. Okay, this one is actually just So Saffron with a little bit of gray on the tip. Okay, so now we can glue these. And I used mini dimensionals. So we're on square number 3 already. There's my first pen. My second pen is actually going to overlap, so I'm just going to add the dimensionals more towards the top. That's going to go right here. Now this one is a little skinny, so what I did is I used some scissors and I just cut 2 little strips off of this right here. Only because the mini dimensionals still would not be small enough to fit in that little area. And you know, us stampers, we don't waste anything. These are all nice and sticky on the end, so use them. Okay, this is gonna go right here. Now we gotta add some more bling. I'm gonna get another package. No, I don't. I thought I had another package. Okay, I don't have any more big ones. I did, but I don't know where they went. So let me just add. They're gonna be all small ones from here on out. Okay, so there's square number 3. Doesn't that look good with the blend markers? Now, let me see if I can turn this a little bit. We're going to work on this one here, square number 4. designer paper first. I need some more snail. I went through a lot of glue today in my first class. I love this paper too. It's got the little ribbon spools and the little twine spools. So cute. Okay, oops, wait a minute. I should have wrapped my ribbon around first. Where's my scissors? I'm gonna cut a piece of ribbon a little bit longer. Let me see if I can lift this up. I needed to wrap that around and I forgot. So let me put that down right in the middle, press down. So that one's good. I might have to trim this a little bit. That one's gonna be way too long. Okay, let's see if I can wrap this one around too. There we go. So there's the ribbon around the designer paper. Next is the little button die cuts. So let me cut that one and let me cut this one. See, I should have done this before I glued the designer paper on, but that's okay. It works. I got it all under control. Okay, there's my first little border. Aren't those buttons cute? And here is my second border. Now, all we have left to do is add the sentiment to the Whisper White layer. Now, let me see what I'm going to tell you what these measure as soon as I find my ruler. I removed my grid sheet, so I don't have my ruler anymore. So this is 1 3/4 by 1 3/4. And this one is 1 1/2 by 1 1/2. And the sentiment says, crafting forever, housework whenever. So let me see how good I can get this with a camera in front of my face. Perfect. Now let's go ahead and glue down. I'm going to add liquid glue to this one only because there's ribbon and all kinds of bumpy little layers underneath. That's going to go right in the center. And let's see, I'm running out of dimensional, so let me use these also. That's going to go on the square. And number 4 will be completed. Okay, and there's number 4. No bling on this one. And my 5th one. This is my favorite one. I just love this ribbon image. Designer paper. And now I need to color. So let's start out with the Calypso Coral. This is the dark, and I'm just going to add the dark where I feel there should be some shadows. And let's bring the light Calypso Coral. Oh, I love all the hearts, you guys. Thanks so much. I'm glad you like this project. Now I'm just going to blend where the 2 colors meet. And let's see, we need to color the spool. I need to use my little end because I'm not blending very well with the bigger end. Let me just go in and blend those edges again. I hardly ever use the smaller end because I like to blend and color with the thicker end. Okay, there's my Calypso. And then the other ribbons I just colored with one color because they're so small. So mint macaron, so saffron. And then I'm going to use both of the gray granite dark and light to do my spools. Again, I'm going to add some dark here and there. And I will show this to you once I get it all colored. I'll bring it up close. Up close and personal. And let's see, let's color this. Blend on the ends. Look how pretty that is. Okay, I'm all done coloring the ribbon. So look how nice and pretty that is. I love the colors. So this one is fairly easy. All I did with this one is actually glued it on with dimensionals and then added some bling here and there. Let me see if I can add, whoops, that one didn't peel. I'm gonna add a little mini dimensional. So you can see that I still use the regular dimensionals as much as I use the minis. There's a purpose for both. Now we'll add some bling in the background. Okay, so there's square number 5. Now all we have left to do is the big one. So let me make some room. I don't want to get ink on my big one. Now this is what the bigger one looks like. I kind of created a little scenery. So let me go ahead and glue. Now this measures, this is an odd measurement. It's actually 6 1/8 by 6 1/8. And the designer paper is 5 7/8 by 5 7/8. And then I'm going to show you how I glue this all together. Okay, there's my designer paper. And then we're going to need a bow. So we've got another pair of scissors, a little rubber stamp, and then I'm going to stamp the vase and paintbrush directly on the large white piece. So I'm using Memento Tuxedo Black. Get it nice and juicy. And that's going to go over to the left. Hopefully I get it nice and straight. So there's my vase with the paintbrushes. I'm going to let that dry a little bit, so I'll go ahead and color these. So we've got the light Calypso Coral. And then my light gray granite. Next, I've got Petal Pink. This is for the stamp image. The Calypso Coral Dark to do up the little hearts. And then again, we'll use the gray granite to do, whoops, wrong end. Do the gray granite to do the ends where there would be some shadows. Okay, there's my little stamp, my little scissors. Now let's go ahead and do, I'm going to do a couple paint brushes with the So Saffron. I'm going to try to make it look like the other one just to make it easy. So there's a couple handles. Now let's bring in Mint Macaron. And we got that one and this one in between here. And what else? We need gray, where all the metal parts are. And we've got an X-Acto knife. And let's see, what else do we have? We've got the Petal Pink. And then I'm also gonna add some the darker gray granite to the paintbrush bristles. Oh, I missed one. I can see where I missed a paintbrush. Let's turn that one pink. Okay, that's it for that. Now, before I do the vase, I wanted to use my aqua painter. And I'm also going to use Pacific Point ink. Oh, I almost boo-booed. Did you guys almost have a heart attack? I almost did. I need to use the ink from the ink pad lid. And I'm going to dip that in there and then just make like a little table. That's it. That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to put this away before I do that again. That was close. Now we're going to do the vase. And I'm going to blend with the light. This is Calypso Coral. My Calypso Coral is almost out. The tip is really, really bad on it. Okay, and that's all I'm going to do for the vase. Now I need one more sentiment, and this time we're going to do Calypso Coral. Not Calypso Coral, Coastal Cabana. It's going to go right here. Now this says, "You paint my world with happiness." How perfect for an artistic project. Now, let's see if I did everything I was supposed to. I'm going to glue this on first, and then we'll glue all the other layers. And I'm going to finish using up this sheet here. Do you guys use all your little pieces like I'm doing? Why not? Who's going to go look underneath to see what you used, right? We can't waste these. Look at all the mileage I'm getting out of these. Okay, now I have the stripes going this way on the other one. I'm going to do them this way this time, just to be different. It's going to go right there. My bow. I got to fix my bow. It's kind of funky looking. There we go. And I did forget to add liquid glue to my other one. I always add liquid glue because I don't want my bows falling off. I usually add a couple dots. That's going to go right in the corner. Now we need to glue the scissors and the little stamp image. So that is going to go right here. And then I need little dimensionals, the mini dimensionals, to glue the scissors down. And I'm actually going to tuck them just a tad bit under the rubber stamp. And lastly, we need some bling. So I'm going to add one up here and two down here. Now I need to show you how to glue these all on. So there's my last square, the bigger one. Isn't that pretty? For those of you that stamp, this would be nice in your stamp room to hang up on your wall. Okay, let me make some room. I'm going to bring in my canvas. Now, how I do this so that it makes it easy for all the edges to be equal, I actually use the cardboard that you get with your designer paper. It's already 12 inches, which is the same as my frame. I cut, now this one, I do them different sometimes. This one is actually 1.25 inches. So I cut two pieces 1.25 inches wide. I fit them right on my frame. And I use washi tape to hold them in place. And then I start gluing. So I'm going to start with the big one. And I always use liquid glue because that way, if it's crooked, you can move it around a little bit. So I'm going to take my large one. It's going to fit right in the corner of this frame that I'm using. Okay, now let's make sure this is in the right spot. Next is the little scissors. Now my washi tape is not holding down. Let me add my washi tape right here. It should hold down now that I have one of those in place. So here's my first square. Again, I'm gonna butt it up right against the corner. And then I'm gonna hop down to the other corner. I do all of my corners first. That way you can space out the ones in between evenly. This one's gonna go right here. But see how easy that is with the cardstock or the cardboard frame. There's number 3. And now the other 2, we're just gonna sneak in right in between. And make sure they're evenly spaced. One more to go. And then I'll bring the cards back in so you guys can see the cards also, if you came in late. Make sure this one is right side up as far as the sentiment goes. So look how quick that was to glue these down because I had the frame as my pattern. So there's my sampler. Here it is with the blue rhinestone, so whichever one you like the best. And then, let me bring the cards back in. This was card number 1, which was the clean and simple. And then card number 2, that was the stepped up version. So let me move these over just a tad so you can see everything. So there you go. I hope you liked my Step It Up Sunday this week. And I'm going to try to be on tomorrow with my paper pumpkin alternatives. I'm not sure what time yet because I have some meetings to go to, but I will announce on my page when I go live. So thanks so much for joining me tonight, everyone. I hope you have a good remainder of your Sunday and see you soon. Good night.